A toxin called the shred has spread throughout this post-apocalyptic society, impairing people's memory. A traveler encounters a massive glass house with a "No trespassing" sign while looking for cover in the woods. Despite the notice, he approaches the building and is shot by B. It turns out that the mother and her children, B, Evie, Daisy, and Gabe, are the only residents of this remote home. Mother has created an entire system to ensure their survival, which includes forcing everyone to wear necklaces bearing their initials to aid in memory and cultivating their own veggies for food and clean air. They also have masks that they wear to protect themselves when they go outside. However, when Gabe was a young child, he neglected to wear his, and he now has a dementia-like illness. That means that on bad days, he has to be confined to bed. Outsiders are not permitted entry inside the home. They check to make sure it's not their lost sibling Luca, who should have a code to identify himself if he ever returns, before shooting any stranger who dares set foot on their property. The girls bury the remaining body parts outside after taking certain body pieces for rituals and fertilizer when a stranger is killed. Before they get rid of the man be shot today, Evie gets a picture of herself from one of his pockets. She keeps the special box she uses to conceal the photo buried in the greenhouse. When the ritual's time comes, the family gathers around the body parts and gives thanks for the glass house's protection. As part of their pledge to remember, they have painted drawings on all the glass walls that tell the tale of Mother moving here with her family. B is on watch duty one evening when she notices a stranger approaching the house and removing his disguise. When B uses a flashlight to decipher the code and the stranger doesn't respond, she should murder him. Yet, something flashes in B's eyes upon seeing his face. B chooses to disobey the law and bring the stranger inside when he passes unconscious. Daisy tells out that the second rule states that everything in the sanctuary is sacrosanct. Therefore the stranger is now under their care. Mother is obviously enraged and wants to get rid of him. Mother chooses to take the opportunity to at least show the daughters how to bandage a wound by using the stranger's injured leg. When the stranger awakens the following morning, he is chained to a bed, and B is dozing on the floor beside him. When Gabe awakens in chains and realizes he's soaked the bed, Evie searches for B to assist her in tidying up. While Gabe is still on the bed, B rushes to help Evie take off covers because she is desperate to be with stranger. She then leaves her to clean Gabe by herself, which creates an awkward moment between siblings. When B returns to tend to stranger's beard, she finds that he has already woken up. Even though she's afraid, B tries to ask certain questions that the stranger won't respond to. When Mother visits the man to question him after B and Evie have changed his bandages, he says he believes he was never given a name. He tells how nearly nothing remains of civilization and how the few surviving nomads must either starve or scavenge. One of them wounded the stranger by attacking him. He asks himself whether he can go now that he knows about them, but Mother won't let him, so he has to stay and work like everyone else. Later, when Evie notices that Gabe is uneasy with the stranger, she tries to reassure him by bringing him back to his former toys, but he is unable to recall them. Gabe is still suspicious, but B goes further and forces him to touch the stranger's face to show that they are all the same. The stranger is put to work in a greenhouse the following morning, but not before being shackled for security. As his obsession grows, B brings him a platter of fresh fruit and expresses excitement when he selects a strawberry. She also makes a vow to teach him to read. B tries to convince Evie to complete household duties by herself whenever she asks for assistance so she may spend more time with stranger. Because of her intense crush on him, Evie tells B that she can't trust a random man, which irritates her and makes B dismiss her. When it comes time to seal the windows again, B works and tells the stranger that the pictures tell their narrative. When the stranger comments on the man's drawing and inquires about him, B replies that he was her everything. B tries to persuade the stranger to join Luca at the table for dinner, but Mother stops him and directs him to sit among the plants. Luca is revealed to be their sibling, who departed to search for survivors and hasn't returned. When the stranger wonders who Luca is, the stranger's leg gradually recovers over several days. The stranger draws a horse and offers to carve one for Daisy if she can't fetch him a knife when she questions him about animals because she's never seen one. Daisy robs her sister's basket of a knife in order to give it to him. Gabe gets envious as he sees Daisy playing with the stranger. Later on, the stranger completes the carving of the horse for Daisy, transforming it into a puzzle that needs to be assembled. When Gabe finds it, the stranger lets him play with it, but Gabe is unable to figure out how to fix it. Gabe starts acting erratic and tossing things around because he feels like he's being replaced, and the girls can't stop him when they come to check on him. The stranger gets Daisy to release him because it's an emergency, and he gets to tackle Gabe to the ground in an attempt to calm him down. When B looks in the mirror in the evening, she notices that Gabe's tantrum has left a bruise on her face. When the stranger approaches her to tease her about it, B names him Luca by mistake, which makes the stranger acknowledge he can't be Luca because he has feelings for B that a sibling shouldn't. Surprisingly, B is happy to hear this, because Luca felt forbidden feelings for her as well. The stranger is no longer chained by the family, and is free to roam the home. When the stranger discovers B carrying her box one morning and inquires about it, B says it was once a game she played with Luca. Since he isn't Luca, B declines the stranger's request to play. She also makes it clear that since he is an outsider, he shouldn't be taking part in any of the rituals, such as the singing in the garden. The stranger objects because he understands that those customs are carried out in order to recall their identity, suggesting that he could also need to remember. He then visits Daisy and B to inquire further about the package. B remembers it because Luca often buried strawberries in it, and strawberries are B's favorite food. Daisy doesn't remember it since she was too young. Later, when the stranger visits Evie to express regret for upsetting her, she still doesn't trust him, and acknowledges that if she had been on sentry duty that day, she would have shot him. When the stranger offers to assist with the sentry duties, Evie simply advises him to keep an eye on himself. The stranger runs across Mother on his way out, who tells him everything has a reason, and she has one plan for him, but he won't discover it with Evie. The following day, when the sisters are tending to the plants, the stranger unexpectedly stops by to give B a strawberry. B sees this as evidence that he is actually Luca, and was simply forgetting, while Evie continues to believe it is a ruse. During B's sentry shift in the afternoon, the stranger joins her to advance their connection. B receives satisfaction from the stranger, who does not give up even when B has to shoot another wanderer. After the regular procedures are completed for the new corpse, B and the stranger engage in physical altercations in the foyer of the home. Since all of the walls are made of glass, Evie can see them when she walks by, which brings back a memory from years ago. She saw B do the same thing with Luca. Little Gabe requested to go outside, but she ignored him because of this distraction. Evie bolts when the stranger suddenly raises his head and looks at her. When the stranger later finds Evie and asks if she enjoys watching, an enraged Evie lashes out at him, telling him she won't be used like her sister did before taking off. The stranger discovers Evie's box and something strange in the soil at that very moment. Inside is a small bag bearing Lucas' name that contains 2 old batteries and a letter L necklace. When the stranger approaches Daisy to inquire about these necklaces, she tells him that Mother made them when the children were born, and that he is not allowed to remove them. The stranger joins them around the table for another ceremony when it's time, which enrages Evie because she believes an outsider shouldn't be destroying the holy practices. In response, the stranger pulls out a bag of cash that he had brought with him, from whence he came, and he also removes Lucas' necklace. The stranger claims the necklace had always been with him, and he just forgot what it signified. But now he knows he is indeed Lucas, because Evie won't acknowledge that she had hidden it. B and Daisy accept him, but Evie accuses him of going after the actual Lucas in order to take it, starting a fight that Mother ends by commending Evie for defending the family. Disturbed by the blatant partiality, B tells everyone that Evie should take responsibility for Gab's illness by not keeping him from running outdoors unattended, as opposed to spying on her sister. This makes Evie cry and disappear. Gabe is nervous about all these developments, especially when the stranger finally gets to sit at the table for dinner. Mother only assures Evie not to worry because she has a plan when she later asks why she's the only one who can see the truth. The dad will depart as soon as a child is born because Luca never stays. The siblings must listen to B and the stranger arguing on B's bed that night. Even after the stranger's leg heals completely a few days later, Mother still won't allow him work sentry duties by himself. Evie notes that B hasn't had her monthly bleeding, while the girls are doing the laundry, and she informs Mother of this. A few weeks after Mother starts using her calendar to record B's monthly events, she tells her daughter that B is, in fact, pregnant. When Mother informs B that their resources are limited, and she would have to decide between keeping the baby and the stranger, B's initial happiness over the news evolves to soreness. Gabe had a panic attack, and runs outdoors as B starts crying and screaming to express how sad she is. Evie chases after him, all the guilt released as she remembers the day the same thing occurred to him as a child and he lost his memory. Unexpectedly, the stranger appears without a mask, takes Gabe up to bring him back inside, and assures Evie that she is not to blame. A resentful B cuts them off, and reminds the stranger that he needs to accompany her for the upcoming sentry shift. Evie continues to cry as she tells Gabe that she gave him a wonderful mind that he lost. Once outside, B informs the stranger that she is expecting and that he must leave. He, however, embraces B, and says they will convince Mother to see sense. As Evie is resting, Gabe notices and climbs onto her bed in an attempt to perform at his best. After waking up and pushing him away, Evie offers to assist him in a different way so as not to aggravate him further. Evie can't sleep, so later when everyone is sleeping, she gets out of bed, and the stranger follows her. He assures her that she doesn't have to live with guilt and that, if she doesn't mean it, she shouldn't be having those kinds of interactions with Gabe. Gabe deserves to be happy, therefore Evie argues. But the stranger believes that she also deserves happiness. The stranger makes fun of Gabe the following day for his sentiments for Evie, pointing out that she only has sympathy for him rather than love. Gabe becomes enraged by this and throws another tantrum, shattering a window in the process. Mother chastises Gabe for what he done, but the stranger claims it was an accident. The girls rush in to shut it before the toxin enters. Subsequently, Mother informs the stranger that she thinks it strange that Gabe was present when he lost consciousness both times. The stranger acknowledges that he believes Gabe is becoming more dangerous and that maybe he would be happier without memories, but Mother is adamant that she would rather retain Gabe than part with him. As dusk approaches, Mother ties Gabe to the bed and tells him their tale in an effort to make him feel special. As she is leaving, she encounters the stranger, who realizes that the woman is not as manipulable as the girls, and resolves to use a gardening tool to murder her there in the greenhouse. The stranger then makes it appear as though he did it by leaving the tool and the body next to Gabe's bed. The stranger appears and accuses Gabe of murder, when he wakes up and discovers his mother dead. This infuriates Gabe, who then attacks the stranger. As soon as the girls hear the disturbance, and get there in time to witness the stranger pushing Gabe away from him, Evie believes the stranger and starts crying. Bea is furious, but she won't accept Gabe killed her mother. Instead, she tries to come up with an excuse, such as the possibility that Gabe killed Mother unintentionally while having a nightmare. Later, the stranger comes to see Gabe in shackles, and gags him before saying it's better to open the window. The stranger says that although he wanted to forget and had to watch his loved ones decay, the toxin didn't affect him when he removed his mask. Gabe doesn't know why he's immune, but he does know that pain equals memories, thus releasing the toxin within will make him happy once more. As the girls start getting Mother's body ready for the rite, Daisy becomes uncomfortable with the thought of doing those things to their own mother, so Evie takes her away to help her feel better. Unaware that she has abandoned her box, Bea seizes the opportunity to investigate and discovers the small sack, containing Lucas' name along with the 2 batteries. Her shooting of a wanderer, which she never told her family about, comes back to her. Recalling everything, she hurries outdoors and excavates a grave in the garden, finding a flashlight that brings back the memories. As it happens, the man Bea had slain was actually Luca, and the reason he hadn't been able to get back to code was because the batteries in his flashlight had run out. Bea discovered the necklace and flashlight when she examined the deceased. Therefore, Bea removed her disguise in an attempt to forget what she had done after burying them all in order to keep the truth from her family. The fact that Evie's package contained the necklace and batteries indicates that she was aware of what had happened from the beginning. Bea storms back inside to scream at her sister for leading her to believe that Luca will never return. But Evie explains that she did it to save Bea from more suffering. This encourages Bea to ask Evie to walk outside with her, but Evie tries to stop her since she won't lose her identity. When the stranger arrives to put an end to their altercation, Bea becomes envious and flees outside to forget about it all when he notices Evie. The stranger stops Evie from following her, telling her that she has the right to live her own life. Daisy arrives at that point to inform the others that Gabe has changed. He is silent in bed, acting as though he is no longer there. As Evie tries to find out what's wrong, Bea returns inside and, confirming that the toxin has caused her to forget, doesn't recognize the stranger. As the toxin gradually kills off her family one by one, leaving her as the lone survivor, Evie starts to recognize this. Evie decides that they won't tell anybody about the horrible things that happened and that they would cooperate to protect the family after the stranger tells her that he can't forget either, and pledges to assist her. Then, as a catatonic Gabe listens, the stranger takes up Evie and goes frisky with her in Bea's bed. The house's hierarchy is rearranged after that. Now that Evie and the stranger are in charge of the household, Daisy at last accepts that Bea, not Mother, is her mother. After the real Luca forced Bea to choose between her child and her boyfriend, he left Bea's pregnancy. The new family repaints the glass portraits to symbolize the new members, as they start a happy new life together following the mother's body, right? Since the stranger is the baby's father, Evie expects that the child will survive thanks to their dad's immunity. Bea no longer wears a mask when she goes outside. Even though Gabe is nonverbal, he starts to behave independently. One afternoon, he starts working in the garden because he is recalling something. He discovers that the living ones aren't the originals either, when he discovers two skeletons wearing Evie and Bea necklaces. Because the mother has always believed in balance, whenever she needed to replace a child, she would use a new wanderer as Luca, and after the infant was born, she would give the justification that Luca always leaves. In the meantime, the stranger, who is now formally the newest Luca, has been doing sentry shifts by himself. When a young, healthy wanderer breaks into their house, Luca shoots Gabe because he believes it's time for a fresh replacement.